Am I live? I think we are live. Hopefully. Can people see? Hopefully people can see me. Yes. There we are. Welcome everyone to round 4. Finally round 4 of the 2026 Formula 1 season. I'm just gonna wait for a couple of moments so that a few of you could join in. If not, it's all good. I just thought I'd record it during this time. And welcome everyone. How are we doing? Race week, and it's Miami. Oh boy, it's been 5 weeks. An unprecedented break. Who would have thought? But I think we kind of needed that after the first few races at least, right? So with everything happening, all the regulation changes, the rule tweaks, which we will get into, I think it was kind of a blessing in disguise to have that break. But nonetheless, where are you guys joining in from today? Are any of you in Miami right now? Because I know a lot of fellow F1 content creators are actually in Miami right now. They've been flown out, by different brands, partners, etc. Some folks have just gone for fun. So let me know, where are you guys tuning in from? And yeah, what are you most excited about for Miami? I think that'd be a very cool thing to check. But yeah, we'll keep it nice, short and concise. Been getting a lot of love for the IndyCar stuff that I do, all the live streaming for IndyCar. Appreciate each and every one of you. And if you are joining back from those live streams from IndyCar to Formula 1, welcome. Chuck it in the chat as well if you are one of those. Some names I remember. Oh my god, here we go. Let me try remembering. Jordan. There was Ian, I think, from Sweden. There was Jordan, there was Ian, I think there was a James, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, loads of folks. But yeah, we'll get right into it. We are back finally, and I'm super excited to see Formula 1 cars back on track. And shout out to Toro Rosso from back in the day. If you guys remember Toro Rosso, who was, Alpha Tauri, and then now it's VCub. Loads of name changes, but the Toro Rosso days, the blue and the red, and with Honda, come on, that was legendary stuff. But enough about that. Yeah, let's get right into the predictions and stuff. Let's do this will go on for probably half hour or so. We'll go through the entirety of the grid. We'll preview the circuit, everything that's going to happen, the rule changes that we've seen, which is why Miami is the reset. After having such a long break, I have to say, it was one of the longest breaks I've ever seen in Formula 1 that has just come about, apart from, obviously, 2020, when the season started really, really, really late. And 5 weeks, we hope. We've heard so much about the regulations, right? I think all in all, there have been 5 big things that have happened, or actually 6, including a team personnel who's moved over, right? We will definitely touch base on that, but we know what's going on, right? We have a lot of... Oh, hello. Why is it echoing? Okay, here we go. But yeah, Miami is the reset, because a lot of rule changes have taken place. Well, they've tried to, at least, and we've had a key personnel. So the first one that we need to really look forward to is we're pretty much gonna get entirely new cars right now for this weekend. A lot of teams are coming up with huge upgrade packages. So, and I've been trying to follow Sky Sports, Motorsport.com, Autosport. All of them say that the upgrades are going to be dramatic. The cars are going to look very, very different in Miami in comparison to previously in Japan. And a huge proof of that is the Red Bull, which was, I think they had a filming day at Silverstone where you could see the side pods was super different. There was a lot of the winglets in you can see on screen now, Alpine on the edge of the front wings has like this weird, I don't know what you call it, but it's like the upper section of the front end plate, which has like a vertical wing pop out. The Red Bull's going to have that. The side pod is a little bit more like the 2022 side pod, a bit more reminiscent of that. So you're gonna see some radical changes. So expect Ferrari and Red Bull to have brand new cars. That's what all the sources are indicating. Ferrari are gonna have a completely different car. And actually, speaking of Ferrari, the Macarena wing that they had, they're probably gonna bring it back. And also, when you remember the halo, they had like this weird device in the halo that's gonna be back as well. But Red Bull are also gonna have a Macarena wing. So. Like, what even? But yeah, that's the thing. 5 weeks is ample amount of time to get it done. And Red Bull are going to bring it. I'm just curious to see how effective it would be for the Red Bull, given its sort of car philosophy. But what do you guys think? Check in the chat. How do you think Red Bull will perform this weekend? Any Red Bull fans? Because, yeah, it's going to be pretty interesting. But then, when they spoke to McLaren and Racing Bulls, they basically said that they're gonna bring an updated spec of the current car that they have. It's fair enough, but it's still gonna have radical changes. So Ferrari and Red Bull, brand new cars essentially. The rest of the field probably will see that as well. So if you're a technical person in Formula One, you like the the nitty gritty of things, everything to do with the car essentially. This is going to be a fun weekend for that. So that's obviously going to be a big thing to expect, entirely new cars. And then we have the massive rules impact, right? A lot of things have changed. The first one is that energy management is going to be completely different right now. So we're going to have lower recharge limits, right? Where in qualifying, in recharge modes, it used to be 8 megajoules. Now we're going to have 7 megajoules of max quali recharge. So which means that they're going to harvest a little bit less energy, which should hopefully allow them to go flat out in tandem with the peak super clipping power, which has been increased from 250 kilowatt to 350 kilowatt. So this peak super clipping power, where the cars were coming closer, let's say you see in this picture, when the car approaches a braking zone or a corner, it would lift off and harvest energy. So the super clipping power has increased, which should allow them to go further deeper into the corner without lifting off as much. And hey, Matteo, what's up, man? Let's go. Oh, mate, thank you so much. So nice to see a familiar face. Absolutely love it, mate. I thank you so much. Genuinely, I'm just over the moon. I'm so over the moon. Thank you, mate. Thank you. I was this close to actually not doing the live today because I'm super exhausted, but I thought, you know what? We got to get it done. We got to make it exciting for everyone. So Matteo, man, thank you so much. Hope you're doing well. We're very close to the weekend, so I hope you're hanging in there. It's already midweek, but I appreciate it. And you say you're a Red Bull Max, mate. Me too. I'm a Max guy as well. Right now, the models over here actually aren't off Max, but I've got a lot of Max stuff kept. I'll bring that in at some point as well. But you say, hoping for a good finish. Been interesting to see the Red Bull struggle this year so far. No, exactly. I think they've done a very good job with their power unit, but I think they've really struggled with Adrian Newey obviously left, so I think they've really struggled with the philosophy of the car. But they are going to bring a very radical, not radical, it's just a brand new car that they're bringing to Miami. So I'm very curious to see. I'm sure you might have seen like the leaked footages of the Silverstone test that they had, I think filming day. But that's going to be a fascinating thing as well. But appreciate you, mate. Stay engaged with the chat and we'll move on. But the third thing actually that we should really look forward to in terms of reset is qualifying. Qualifying has been a huge talking point for the 2026 season, and it's been so difficult because it's been so difficult to watch, hasn't it? I mean, when you think of Formula One, you think of like drivers who are pretty much fighter pilots, right? And they are taking corners at speeds that, for us, at least mere humans, it's pretty much impossible. Like David Coulthard said that it's an average person wouldn't even last 2 laps. So the fact that Fernando Alonso is coming out and saying, hey, my chef can drive these cars now, that's a little bit concerning. And we could obviously see, I think what happened in Japan during Kimi Antonelli's pole lap replay onboard camera, they basically removed the last section that were the 130R, that fast left-hander, because there was a huge lift. And then they said there was like an error in his camera. I don't know. It's a bit wild. So, no, qualifying with these 2 changes that I just mentioned, which is the max quality recharge is going to drop, right? The recharge limit's going to drop. So from 8 megajoules to 7 megajoules. And then the peak super clipping power is going to go up from 250 kilowatt to 350 kilowatt, which on paper at least should get us close to flat out qualifying. Hopefully. Maybe there will be a little bit of super clipping here and there where they lift off, but I hope it works out. So we shall see. The other thing is this whole yo-yo racing, right? Will that be refined? Like Lando Norris said in Japan, that going into, I think, turn 15, so off 130R, he did not want to overtake Lewis Hamilton, but because the energy just deployed and he just overtook Lewis Hamilton, but then off the exit of the corner, Lewis just got him back because he didn't have any battery left. So this yo-yo effect, how much will these energy management changes affect that? That's going to be very curious to see. And then I think I would say lastly is bunching of the field. Can these changes and the development race, because Formula 1 is a development race at the end of the day, can we see the field bunching up? That is a huge interest of mine, because if they can close the gaps, because right now, what's the spread? I think it's 4.55 seconds across the entire field, give or take, plus minus a second. That's a lot, right? And new regulations you kind of expected, but hopefully that sort of shrinks and reduces maybe to like 3.5 seconds, maybe even better. Who knows? So those are the things that have happened during Miami. And also we've had a huge personnel change. Max's race engineer, GP, Jean-Pierre Lambiase, is moving to McLaren from 2028 onwards. So he's still going to be part of Red Bull this year and next year, which is very interesting. And I don't know, Matteo, what do you think of GP leaving Max? Where does that leave Max for you, Matteo, or anyone else who's watching? What do you guys think? Will Max stay at Red Bull if Red Bull doesn't perform as well as we'd expect? What happens to Max? Zach Brown recently said during the break that he wouldn't be surprised if, Mercedes get him, but then Mercedes pair are doing all right. So it's all in the air. It's all to play for. And that's why Miami, Jesus Christ. It's close to bedtime where I am. So, yeah, but that's going to be very interesting to see what happens. But yeah, chuck in the comments, where do you think Max Verstappen will race in 2027? Quite a question. Do you know what? I'm actually going to put in the chat. And then you guys can... Does Max end up in 2027? Let's do Merc, McLaren, other team. All right, take it away, guys. Take it away. Where do you think Max Verstappen ends up in 2027? Will he be at Mercedes? Actually, I should have added the option of at Red Bull. Or maybe retire. Oh, do you know what? Let me take the poll down. Let me edit that again. Oh, my days. That did not go well, did it? I didn't think that through. Jesus Christ. All right, here we go. Where does Max end up in 2027? There we go. Stays at Red Bull. Goes to Mercedes. Mercedes, Red Bull, Mercedes, McLaren, because of GP maybe. You never know. Or he retires. Right? Retires / other team. Let's do that. How about that? Okay, there we go. Now we're back. Chuck it in the poll. Let's keep it in the poll now. Go for it, guys. And we'll move on in the time being. Don't want to keep you guys for way too long. But let's do a quick recap. What happened in Japan? Japan was good racing. Enjoyed it. The safety car came in, which helped a lot. But Kimi Antonelli won the race, which was, I think, he had a great drive. Obviously, he was helped with the safety car, and George got very unlucky because of it. But nonetheless, Kimi had to execute it, and he did a great job. With the second position, Oscar Piastri, phenomenal drive, absolutely phenomenal drive. And I listened to the High Performance podcast with Jake Humphrey, and Jake Humphrey asked Oscar about his top wins and stuff. And Oscar actually said that his Japan 2026 second position, he would rate that much higher than any of the other. More than he would rate it higher than 50% of his current wins, because that's how good he felt in the drive. So completely, fair play, I would say, to Oscar. Great job. And Leclerc, again, the Ferraris are fast. He just didn't have enough pace to catch Oscar, but nonetheless, great job. And Kimi Antonelli, 2 wins in a row. I genuinely think that George Russell now, given the field is going to probably be tight and close, that it's going to get... I think he's realized that he's on for something. He has a challenger besides the big boys, Lewis, Charles, and Verstappen and stuff. Not that Red Bull's anywhere right now, but yeah, a great race, safety car. But then obviously the biggest moment in the Japanese Grand Prix, for me at least, was Ollie Behrman and his incident with Franco Colapinto. Although Franco was not affected, but Ollie was pretty... he was hurt, let's just say. But that's why these rule changes have come in. And the closing in speeds was so dramatic in Japan. So definitely, not ideal, I would say. But hopefully this doesn't happen again. Chances are that it might, but given they've reduced the charging stuff from 8 megajoules to 7 megajoules and increased the super clipping, so that 250 kilowatt to 350 kilowatt, this is where, when you're following someone behind, this is exactly where it would come in handy, that rule change. So yeah, this is pretty scary though. Anyway, so we have the Miami International Autodrome. It's going to be 57 lap race, 5.4 kilometer, and obviously Max Verstappen holds the record right now. And we've been racing there since 2022, surprisingly. It's been a while. Damn, it's been a minute. But yeah, it's around... You have the Hard Rock Stadium right in the middle of it, and 19 turns anti-clockwise. The estimated speed, average speed, is around 320. So it's pretty fast flowing, especially Sector 1, which is, it's growing on me slowly. It took a while for me to get used to it, but it is growing on me. Then there are overtaking opportunities. There are some technical pieces in there as well. So it's a mix of permanent and temporary roads, right? Designed for high speed, fast flowing action, interspersed with technical slow sections. So it's a decent track. Is it one of my favorites? Probably not, I would say. But nonetheless, it's produced good racing, especially into turn 1, in Sector 1, which has been pretty good. And obviously the final corner as well, when you have that huge back straight with the DRS open. That would be interesting to see what happens during this time. So yeah, we'll see how it goes, but pretty good circuit nonetheless. I think they've done a good job with how they've built the flow. Like I really like sector 1 specifically. So that's the circuit overview, but let's look at what happened at Miami last year. The 2025 results were Oscar Piastri won the race, Lando P2. The McLarens were super, super fast, and George Russell finished P3. Oscar, Max, and Lando really went elbows out for a good amount of the time during the beginning few laps, but then Oscar overtook Max during lap 14, and after that Lando came in and overtook Max at some point, and then it kind of just, Oscar just did a fantastic job, and this was his 3rd race win in a row last year at this point, and he went on to, I think it was 5 race wins, maybe a bit more, but nonetheless, stunning job from Oscar. I got this image because he was trying to do the gritty, and he just, dancing is not Oscar Piastri's forte, shall we say. But nonetheless, good race. There was a safety car. Russell pipped Verstappen. No, it was a VSC. It was a VSC, yes, because Ollie Behrman's engine went pretty much bang, and then Gabriel Bortoletto's engine also went bang. And during that, Russell pitted, came out, and just pipped Verstappen, and that's why he finished P3. But even Kimi Antonelli was looking racy. The Mercedes were fast as well last year. So, pretty good race all around. But the McLarens were just in a league of their own, which is why this weekend is going to be fascinating, because we do not... the whole order could be reshuffled. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, very, very, very exciting to see what happens this weekend. All right. We've got a few special liveries, which we should definitely talk about. I love liveries. It's one of my favorite parts of being a motorsport content creator is merch, liveries, those kind of things. And so Cadillac, I've come up with a beautiful black and white standard. I would say, well, it looks the same from both sides, which helps for one. But it's a beautiful looking car, subtle hints to the American heritage of Cadillac because it's American, with the stars down, the back end of the engine cover. When you look at the rear wing, it's got USA in bold with, the blue on one side and the red on one side. And it's a good looking livery. I don't mind it. Could they have done more? Probably. Because I would have loved to have seen, let's say, the stars, right? The stars and stripes, let's say. If they could have added those blue and red accents, right? It would have looked so nice. I think it was a Haas, was it? I think it was the Haas of last year or the year before. They did a phenomenal job with that. Phenomenal job. But yeah, Cadillac's going to be rocking their own American flag. Fair play. But then in terms of colors, check this out. This caught me off guard. And I just got confirmation of this literally minutes before going live, so I had to put this in. This is VCarb's Red Bull Summer Edition 2026 livery is what it's called. This is paying homage to the Red Bull Summer Edition can, like the Red Bull energy drink, and they've basically taken inspiration from the can and chucked it on the car, and also their merch. So one of my reels that I posted earlier today was, this whole Teletubbies vibe that I'm getting from Miami. You look at VCarb's merch, the t-shirt, it's so bright yellow. It's like Lala from Teletubbies. And then there is then Mercedes have come up with these race suits, these purple race suits, each what is it? A different race suit for each day. And it's just like, what? So someone's like, oh, that's Tinky Winky. And then, oh my God. It's Teletubbies vibes. But you know what? VCarb, their Japan livery was phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. I think that was one of my I wasn't too sure when I first saw the images, but when on track, that thing looked wow. But this, we haven't seen a yellow livery in a long time. I'm trying to think. I think in terms of a yellow livery, it would have been Renault, probably. Well, we had a little bit of yellow accents on the Alpine, which also they're doing. Actually, I should have added that as well, but I don't think that's a special livery. A bit of yellow was on the Williams when Mercado Libre with Franco Colapinto came in Brazil. Yeah, before that, like a proper yellow car would have been the Renaults. Danny Ricciardo, the black and yellow. Anyway, nice car, good looking car. This one from V-Carb or Racing Bulls. With the yellow background, it kind of just takes that effect away. So I'd love to see it on track. But yeah, let's just get right into the championship standings as of round 3 after Japan before we get into the predictions. So Kimi Antonelli actually leads the World Championship, which is, I don't think I would have imagined myself saying that. Pretty wild, not going to lie. But it's 2 wins in a row, right? I think he's done a phenomenal job. So fair play. Russell, P2. I think he'll be a little bit disappointed with the safety car stuff. They could have probably carried out a bit better and done a better job with it. But again, a lot of it is just, it's just luck sometimes. Leclerc on 49 points, followed by Lewis Hamilton. Again, strong starts to both of the seasons. For Leclerc, he's done all right at Miami. With Lewis Hamilton, not the biggest. He hasn't had great results in Miami, so that's going to be interesting. And yeah, like the McLaren's 5-6. So yeah, you can see Mercedes, Ferraris, McLarens are kind of in that top 6. And then the best of the rest right now is Ollie Behrman. And had it not been that finish in Japan where he crashed out, I don't know if he would have made up for points, but yeah, where was he? He was pretty down low, wasn't he? He was behind Colapinto. Colapinto started P15. Yeah, so he was like pretty far back. Yeah, didn't qualify as he wanted to, but yeah, and then you see an anomaly, which is Max Verstappen in P9, which is a bit odd. And then you have the 2 V-Cubs. And then, yeah, Bortoleto, Audi have scored a couple of points. Williams, they don't want to be there, P14 and P18. Not ideal. And then you have the Cadillacs and, the Astons, which are plumb last. So that's the driver standings. Let's quickly look at the constructors before we head into my predictions. So here we are. After round 3, it stands as follows. You can see Mercedes has a great lead. Huge advantage right now. 135 points there. 45 points clear of Ferrari. Then you have McLaren, who are... Look at that difference, though. You go from 135 to 90 to 46. Anyway, McLaren, even though McLaren didn't finish... Well, they didn't start in China. Mind you, they're still P3. Best of the rest right now is it's a pretty odd situation because you'd expect Red Bull to be P4. But yeah, Haas is P4. Red Bull has 16 points and Mercedes have 135 points right now. That's unbelievable stuff. Like, I did not expect that. I'm not going to lie. Alpine also looking decent right now. Franco didn't finish where he would have liked. I think he started P15 in Japan but finished P16. Obviously Red Bull, that's just, yeah, I hope to see them improve this weekend, hopefully. Because look at that, the sister team, the junior team, is only 2 points behind them. Then Audi and Williams. Williams is again P5 last year, and right now they're sitting in P9. Obviously, only 3 races done. And then Aston and Aston and Cadillac, they are pointless right now. So here we are. That's what's happening. But now is the fun part. Here are my predictions for the 2026 Miami Grand Prix. So the way I do it, if you guys do not know, the way I like to do this is I essentially the way I like to do it is essentially, oh, someone says, just close the poll right now. Where does Max end up in 2027? Only one of you voted, so no problemo. Appreciate it. Says Mercedes. That'd be a fascinating talking point. You never know. Anyway, let's get back to it. So with predictions, what I like to do is, obviously I predict the podium that I think is going to be for the race that's coming up. And then I also like to do a Ripper driver of the week and a Ripper team of the week, which is like a stellar driver, like the greatest driver of the week and the greatest team of the week. Who's going to be the driver of the week? Who's going to be the team of the week? I think that's the best way to put it. And then I also do the shocking driver of the weekend and the shocking team of the weekend as well. So with the podium, I think we should start with the podium. So, drum roll, please. I don't think you'll be surprised to say, albeit there's a lot happening. And I sat down and thought about this. That if we expect everyone to catch up to Mercedes, surely we should expect Mercedes to develop further as well. And given how far off they're from the other competitors, I think that Sir George Russell will prevail in Miami. You know, he won the season opener in Australia. Could have won in Japan before the safety car handed it to Antonelli. Right, and now there's 5 weeks of simmering frustration that's built up in him probably, and Mercedes is still the fastest car by a meaningful margin, as I was saying. So I don't see their cumulative winning margin across the opening rounds, has approached almost a full minute, right, underlining the scale of their early dominance. So the rule changes will chip away at that advantage in qualifying, but their race pace will fundamentally remain there or thereabouts, in my opinion. I don't know. What do you think? So he's got to prove. I feel like he still has a chip on his shoulder. If you ask anyone, is Mercedes George's team? I don't know if it's a definite yes right now, because Toto seems to be interested in Max. And if Max goes loose, Toto will poach him. Then if Toto poaches him, does he keep Antonelli or does he keep Russell? That's the question. Like, that's something I keep in my mind. But Russell, I think, will have, with all this vengeance and this frustration from Japan, I think he's going to go out and do a cracking job and win Miami. But in P2, I've gone, again, I think I've played it a bit safe. I've gone for Charles Leclerc. Again, Ferrari are prepping to reveal what insiders describe as the first truly complete version of their 2026 car, right? It's not an upgrade. It's a full spec change. It's the debut of the brand new car. On top of that, the Mercedes PU has been the best at harvesting and recharging the battery during the super clipping phase. But because the super clipping phase is going to be shorter now, right? Because the output's extended from 250 kilowatts to 350 kilowatts. This could help Ferrari close that gap to Mercedes, especially in the second half of the straights, where Mercedes just seemed to have that extra jolt, right? So Leclerc has been Ferrari's fastest qualifier, and a front row start is now, I would say, it's plausible, given both factors align. So from there, his racecraft will, definitely, I think, shoot him up to P2. What do you guys think about Charles Leclerc? Where would he finish? Put in the chats below. I'd be curious to see what you guys think. And then P3, I've gone, again, probably safe still, but Kimi Antonelli, reigning championship leader, which is wild. Because who would have thought? Kimi Antonelli is the reigning championship leader. So he's not falling out of the top 3, I don't think. But, he's 19, carrying championship pressure for the first time. Will that play in his mind? I don't know, maybe. And he's leading. And he had a cracking job last year, I think, where he took a sprint win. And it's obviously a sprint weekend. How did I forget that? it's a sprint weekend, but we're talking about the main race. So it's going to be a fascinating thing to see how quickly drivers adapt to the FP1, which is only going to be 90. Sorry, it has been extended to 90 minutes. Oh my god, I forgot it was a sprint weekend. Good golly. Well, you're catching me live in the act. This is being recorded live, so but for the main race, I think Kimi will finish P3. Can he handle the pressure of being like a championship leader? It's very early on, and I'm sure he probably gets it, but still, right? I think him knowing that he's got an upper hand on Russell right now is going to be very difficult to an extent, because he knows that Russell's going to be pounding on him. So let's see. So that's my podium. And now let's go for driver of the week, or what I'm calling Ripper driver of the week. And I've gone for Mr. Calm, Ice Cold, Oscar Piastri. So this is the pick I feel the most confident about, because McLaren has, already eyed Miami as a venue for one of their first big upgrades. So after all the cancellations, they've had how many? Probably like 3 additional weeks to refine it, or 2 additional weeks. And Piastri nearly won in Japan. I think he could have definitely given it a shot had it not been for the safety car and stuff. But, it's conspired against him and put the race firmly in Antonelli's lap. But, he's been there. He's been consistently impressive of the 2 McLaren drivers in the opening rounds. Well, opening rounds, what do I mean? Pretty much Japan at this point. And Miami suits him. He won last year. He knows the track very well. And McLaren's boss, Andreas Stella, specifically advocated for the super clipping increase during the winter testing. So, which tells you that they've been building their qualifying approach for this exact change. And Piastri, I don't know if he's going to win. I think that's the huge question mark, is with McLaren's big upgrades, the hype is there, but will it perform? That's going to be the question. But I feel like he'll probably be maybe P4, P5, but you never know. But also, actually, it could be that McLaren gives Ferrari a run for their money and a huge headache. So let's see how that happens. But yeah, I think my driver of the weekend is going to be Oscar Piastri, and my team of the weekend is not McLaren, as is. It's actually Haas. I've gone for Haas. Good old Haas. But the reason I've done that is, Haas have been a pleasant surprise for 2026. They sit ahead of Alpine in 4th in the constructors standings, which I didn't predict. They're ahead of Red Bull as well, which again, it's unheard of. Like, Haas is above Red Bull in the constructors standings. Yes, it's only been 3 races. I understand. But still, it's a great achievement so far. Behrman is doing pretty well. He's hungry, and Miami's technical section suit a car that's been punching above its weight through. There's a lot of mechanical consistency, right, rather than raw pace. So if they can set up the car in a way which really, really aids Behrman and Ocon's driving style, it's going to be good. So they didn't even have. I don't know if they'll have a huge upgrade. Maybe, we shall see. But yeah. I think they'll do a good job. So if they both can be in and around the point scoring position, then they'll be I think they'll have a great weekend. So last year, Behrman's engine went bust, so that didn't quite work out. But let's see what happens with Ocon, who's also a little bit under the pressure, but I think he'll do a good job. So that is my driver of the weekend and my team of the weekend. With the shocking driver of the weekend, unfortunately, I have gone with Franco Colapinto. Why is he not showing up? Franco Colapinto. I think I don't know where I stand with Franco Colapinto. He had a good race in China, decent, but again, nothing wowing. I haven't seen a wow performance from Franco in a minute. You think of Ollie Behrman, you think of Arvid Lindblad. Lindblad in Australia was wow. Ollie Behrman, we've seen him in the Ferrari. We've seen him pull off these moves where you just like, your mouth just drops and you're like, okay, this kid can drive. With Franco, I have mediocre drives associated in my head. And in Japan, I think that was the biggest example where his teammate finished in the points, but he did not. In fact, he fell a spot backwards. Did the safety car play a part in it? Sure, could be. Probably did. But again, that pace wasn't there. There wasn't that rawness to Franco Colapinto where he's wowing you. So I don't know what Flavio Briatore is thinking in his mind right now. But it is a little bit concerning for sure, to say the least. So I don't think he's going to have the best of weekends. I hope he does, but I'm not seeing the light at the end of the tunnel with Franco. And that qualifying deficit, the race pace deficit to Pierre Gasly it's too big. It's definitely one of the largest on the grid. So can Franco turn it around and prove me wrong? I hope so. And obviously it's contract year for him as well. And he had this huge, I get it, he's from Argentina. You have Mercado Libre who are, sponsoring Alpine, and they're obviously coming on their livery this weekend. But from the sponsorship side, okay, great. I'll probably clap for you, mate. But what about results? So I think Franco really needs to put his foot forward in Miami. And my shocking team of the weekend. It's not what you might expect. It's not Cadillac. It's not any of the others. Oh, Jesus, excuse me. My shocking team of the weekend is none other than Aston Martin. Now, for some of you, it might not be a surprise, right? For some of you, it may be like, oh, what do you mean? Like, they've had 5 weeks. Like, surely they'll be doing a better job than what they had currently. My opinion, I think it's going to be tough because if you think about, okay, yes, teams are bringing developments, upgrades, all of these kind of things. But given how much other teams will improve, can Aston Martin improve at that rate as them? That's going to be the question for Aston Martin. And in my opinion, I think the other teams will out-develop them in terms of their chassis, the aerodynamic pieces, etc. Because Aston Martin's initial issue is the fact that the Honda engine doesn't fit as well within the car. So before you can make any other changes, your engine is one. Secondly, it's not just Aston Martin. Can Honda find more power in their car? Very difficult. I don't know. And we haven't heard much, right? They came into 2026 as an exclusive works partner with enormous expectations. So this is Honda I'm talking about. And they're operating a power unit that demands sophisticated energy management in an era where, that is the single hardest problem to solve. So Miami's long straights will expose pretty much all the weakness in an MGUK deployment. So I don't know if their upgrade story is going to be that strong. Maybe Stroll and Alonso just disappear to the back of the grid without a headline. So that's kind of what I'm thinking will happen with Aston Martin. So all teams are going to make upgrades and developments. So surely Aston will as well. But the rate at which they do it is not going to be as fast. So, which is why I think Aston is going to have a very mediocre, in fact, maybe not so good weekend. So there you have it. That was how long? 45 minutes. A lot of yapping, had Mateo. I don't know if Mateo is here still. Probably. If you are Mateo, if you're here, chuck it in the chat. Any one of you else, what do you guys think of these predictions? Yeah, I think it's going to be a fascinating Miami Grand Prix. Just all the storylines. And I hope the racing's good, but it's mainly about the storylines. So, yeah, 57 lap race. We probably might have a one-stopper, most likely, or maybe a two-stopper. But the weather is probably going to play a part because there are thunderstorms in the area. So, yeah, all of this may be for nothing. You never know. But, well, we shall see. We shall see what's going to happen. But I'm super pumped just to see, hopefully, cars back on track. If it does not, if it's not rain, thunderstorm galore on Sunday or even during the weekend. But let's see. But, yeah, thank you so much for joining. Probably going to call it a night. And it's great that we've had the chance to do this. I was very skeptical initially, of doing this because I've noticed that when I do the IndyCar stuff, a lot of people gravitate more towards IndyCar live streaming and not necessarily Formula One streaming for some reason, at least with my channel, which I don't know exactly why. But again, if you're new here, I cover IndyCar and Formula One. As you can tell, I'm not American. I'm not North American. But I do love IndyCar. I think it's a phenomenal series. And I just love both Formula One and IndyCar. Formula One is always and will always be my first love. And then IndyCar, yes. But I still love both series. And actually, if you check out my channel, I follow both and I cover both. So, yeah, if you've enjoyed this, just, a nice cheeky little like and a subscribe does really help. Slowly, we are building a community. And if you're on X or TikTok or YouTube, my username is at @SachTheF1Guy. And on Instagram, it is at Sachin, the F1 guy. So it's my full first name, the F1 guy. So appreciate you all. Do let me know if there are anything I can improve on, get better at. Please put it in the comments below, in the chat function if you're here. If not, in the comments below if you're watching it later on. And yeah, Miami's going to be absolutely wild and I'm super pumped and I hope you are too. And I think I've waffled on for enough. And I'll let you all to it. So good night. Take care and I'll see you guys at some point during the weekend online. Ciao. Oh, hello. Now I can say bye. I found the button. Ciao.